Hey adventurers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about my little adventure to Washington DC and Virginia. So I went this past weekend to visit family, and they live out in Virginia, about I think like an hour or so away from DC. So while I was out there, we decided to take a little tour of the DC area and see all the major sites. And I will link both tours I'm talking about down below if you're interested. We started off in the morning, I think it was around 10 o'clock for the DC tour, and we hit all the major sites. So we saw the Capitol, which is still pretty fenced off and you can't go in because of, the insurrection. So it's kind of sucks because you don't really get a clear view because of the gates, but you can see the botanical gardens that are on one side of the Capitol and the statues in the front. There's a lot of really cool statues out around it. There's also a reflecting pool, not the main reflecting pool, but a reflecting pool on the property. So we had about 20 minutes to spend there, walked around, took some pictures, and it was kind of weird just being there, knowing what had happened just a few months ago, or I guess now it's almost half a year ago. But yeah, it was kind of weird, and it's kind of sad that that happened, and that now because that happened, because of other people's actions, it limits the ability of others to enjoy themselves or appreciate certain things. So I guess the main lesson here is don't be a dick and ruin things for other people. So then after the Capitol, we went by the White House, which as well is quite gated off. There's always been a gate, the main gate, but now there's an additional barrier to put more space between the White House gates and the people. So we weren't able to go in and just kind of had to see it from afar. And there's a park right across from the White House that has a bunch of different statues as well. And it's also next to the State Department of Treasury building, I believe. And we can kind of just walk around, enjoy the park, enjoy the view. After about 20 minutes, we headed back to join the tour. After that, we drove by the Washington Monument, but we did not stop at the Washington Monument. It's actually closed right now. You can go to the park around it, but the elevator and the tour in the monument is closed because of COVID. So they are still taking precautions, but you can go to the park and see it up close. So after we passed by the Washington Monument, we stopped by the Martin Luther King Memorial, which is kind of right down the way from the FDR Memorial, so you can walk to both at the same time. There's also a bookshop you can go to, and the Martin Luther King Memorial has some of his quotes written on the wall leading up to it, and then he's just this giant statue. And then if you go to the FDR Memorial, it's separated into 4 different parts for each one of his terms, and it kind of highlights his accomplishments and some of his famous quotes as well. The FDR Memorial is actually really cool. There are a lot of water features, and it's a lot to explore because it's actually a pretty big size memorial. After that, we have the Lincoln Memorial, which is on the main reflecting pool that faces the Washington Monument. So that's the pretty classic scene that you see with the monument and the giant pool in front of it. That's the spot that we stopped. So there's the Lincoln Memorial, and then there is the Vietnam War Memorial on one side and the Korean War Memorial on the other. The Korean Memorial was actually being constructed or revamped or something, but it was all fenced off, so we didn't really get to see anything. The Vietnam Memorial, it was open, so we were able to see that. And then the Lincoln Memorial, I think, was definitely the busiest. So there were a lot of people to try to maneuver. There are quite a lot of stairs. There is an elevator inside though if you wanted to take that. So by this time in the day, we were pretty hot and sweaty and tired because it was a lot of walking and it was so hot and muggy out there, which I'm not used to being in the dry California heat. All in all, it was a pretty interesting day. It was very informative, and it was cool seeing just like the major highlights of the city. Our tour guide was super informative, so even as we were driving, he was spouting facts left and right and telling us to look left, look right, this, that, and it was like so much information to absorb, which was really cool because I felt really informed, not only about like the main memorials that people flock to, but also just more history of the city. It was actually also Juneteenth when we visited, so there were some people marching for like Black Lives Matter, which was cool. We saw a couple Black Lives Matter flags, so that was really cool. There was just like a extra celebratory feel in the area. But I would definitely recommend our tour guide. I will link him below. Like I said, it's so much information. He actually has a PhD, and he's written a book about the DC area. He also offers tours to other areas as well, including Egypt, which is something I'm going to be looking into. So the next day of my trip, we actually took a mini road trip, about 2.5 hours, out to Pennsylvania to visit the Hershey Park and Chocolate World area, which is going to be in a different video, so make sure to check that out. And then the day after that, we were in Virginia and went to an alpaca farm. So this farm is kind of in like it's not a very large city or town. It was just mostly farmland around the area. It was another like 2-hour drive from my family's house. So we went out there, and the tours were $30 a person, and you get your own alpaca, and you get to go on a walk with them. So it was about a 1 to 2 mile walk on this gorgeous farm property. They also had like lavender fields, and there's a river that's down the way, so we walked down to the river, and it was just really pretty and very peaceful too. And the alpacas were all very nice. So you get your own little alpaca on a leash, and then they just kind of follow you, and they're like super chill. And then whenever you stopped, you could pet them and hug them, and they were very, very soft. And we just got to learn a lot about alpacas and like raising them. They would put a lot of the alpacas in shows, and they get judged on like the quality of their fur since they're so soft. And the people that own that property also had the sweetest dog ever, who just would come to you and just demand cuddles, and it was so cute. She looked so happy. She followed us the whole way and was just running around. Sometimes the alpacas would make noises, so it's kind of like a little humming noise, which was really cute. And it was just fun being around animals again, because I haven't really been around any for so long. So it was cool. They were very cute, very chill, and it's actually kind of cheap to get an alpaca, but since they like to be in herds, you should never get one. You should get like multiple, like 3 or 4, but I guess you can get them for like $500, which is not bad at all, and seems like a pretty good option for my future. I might just get a ton of alpacas. They also use them as like kind of therapy alpacas, and they use them for fundraisers, like charging for selfies with them. So it's really cool. I really like the couple that ran it. They were super, super sweet, and they seemed like they have really good hearts, and they just wanted to do some good and also just, you know, make people happy. And at the end of the tour, there is like a little gift shop area with products made from alpaca wool, and they also sell yarn, where they also have a picture of the alpaca it came from, so you could find your alpaca and like buy some of their yarn. So that was pretty cool. But I only ended up getting these socks, and they have little alpacas on them. They're very, very soft, and I mean, a little pricey. It was $22 for this one pair of socks. And I think it's because of the wool and like how much effort goes into upkeeping it. And but they had like other little things. They had like little mini alpacas made out of the fur, which was like $10. So there's a lot of different things for different price ranges. But I definitely recommend them depending on where you are in the area. I think a 2-hour drive wasn't horrible, but it was definitely a drive for us. But they were the sweetest people, so I would definitely show them all the support. And I will go ahead and link them down below as well. And that was pretty much it. It was a short trip. I was only there for 3.5 days. So just went there and back, and it was really, really nice to travel again. It was nice being on a plane again, even though I get really bad airplane anxiety. It was just nice being not in my apartment. So I look forward to many more adventures like this in the coming year, and stay tuned to see where else I go. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my video on the Hershey Park Chocolate World experience, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys!